There is a lot of deserved optimism about the Browns in 2020. A defense with pieces like Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett on it, an offense that could better be categorized as an armory with weapons all over the place. You have the flashy pieces like Odell, Jarvis, Kareem Hunt, and even David Njoku. But more importantly, this year you have the heavy weaponry like Nick Chubb, Austin Hooper, Jedrick Wills, Joe Bitonio, J.C. Treader, and Jack Conklin. This offense is no longer that shiny, flashy showpiece pistol that's meant to look nice on your bookshelf. No, it's more like a accurate and deadly machine gun that's meant to terrorize the AFC North. But like any weapon, it's only going to be as useful as the operator's skill allows it to be. And that brings me to Baker Mayfield. Because regardless of the pieces around him and how nice the weapons are for Baker Mayfield, the reality of the situation is that none of this matters. None of the praise, none of the good moves that we have perceived in the offseason, none of it matters if Baker Mayfield is not ready to take advantage of them. Because I think Baker Mayfield has all the talent in the world, has all the ability in the world, and has all the opportunity right now. But the biggest hurdle he has to get over is right here. So let's talk about it. But here's why I think Baker Mayfield is going to have a really good season next year. It's not just because he has the right pieces. It's not just because he's not going to be surrounded with dysfunction, hopefully. But it's because he's getting these things, some of these mental things, right. And I think it's been very visible this offseason.
I had you guys winning the division. What the hell happened? Like, what went wrong?
Well, none of the stuff that happens year prior carries over. We all at this table know that. And it comes down to me doing my job. I've never turned the ball over so many times. I mean, that might have been the most combined over my whole career. And you can't win like that. And so that falls back on me. I'll take all the blame for that. And so it comes back on communication, just being on the same page, doing my job the best I can and not worrying about the outside stuff. Not replying to you, not telling you that orange and brown don't matter, but just doing my job and doing what really matters, being a quarterback.
Baker has had a much different approach to the media this season than last. He's not on Colin Cowherd. He's not tweeting at radio hosts. He's not really doing anything. He's kind of staying low key and staying quiet. Yes, I genuinely do believe that 2019 humbled him, but also the fact that he's taking this low-key approach might be out of his hands. I mean, we are in a quarantine right now. So I'm pretty sure whatever progressive shoots he had planned are canceled by that or his play last season. But also I think this part can get overstated and overhyped. I think a lot of this is kind of because Baker Mayfield just doesn't have the opportunities to be on television as well. So that's not something that I'm really digging into, but this next thing is, I think the biggest shift for Baker and the most important shift I've seen for Baker has been his mindset. Since the season has ended, Baker Mayfield has nonstop been focused on the next season, at least on anything that he puts out. Any social media video of him is always like him on a treadmill or him running or him working out. You know, the same thing goes with the rest of the team. Odell has been just working out like a madman. He actually looks bigger, more muscular coming off the surgery. Same thing with Jarvis Landry and a lot of the guys. So it seems like this team has focused up a little bit more than they were last year, which is a good thing. Also, I think the biggest switch in him is what fuels him, because I think he was motivated off of Slight, which worked to some extent, right? I mean, you watch the MJ documentary, everybody's watched it, you know, everybody's high off of being fueled off Slight because that's what MJ was. But again, not everybody's MJ. And being fueled off Slight can be something that can be misleading when you're growing up, because when you're in high school and nobody wants you to play for the team, it's easy to be fueled off Slight. When you go to college and you have to walk on to Texas Tech just to get a spot, and you do it, you win Big 12 Rookie of the Year, and then they don't want you there and you have to walk on to Oklahoma. Oh, it's easy to be fueled off of Slight. You got a lot of Slight going on. But then when you get drafted number 1 overall by the Cleveland Browns and people are telling you you're going to be the next great thing and you're the greatest thing to ever happen in this city. And then you come in, you break Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson's rookie touchdown record. You're getting lauded. You're getting put on progressive commercials. There's no slight really there for him to fuel off of. Like there were legitimate slights in his career before that. Not being recruited out of high school, Texas Tech giving him the boot. Those were legitimate slights. But coming in the NFL, he was the number 1 overall pick. There's no slight. There's no Hugh Jackson here, the scapegoat. There's really no outlet for that kind of motivation. And I think what we saw in 2019 was him realizing that well had dried up, that he could not go back to that bag anymore to motivate himself. And that's not a knock on his work ethic. This is more about adjusting to being an adult in general. This is something we all should have experience with, especially between the age of like 23 and 30. You would know that what motivated you in life and the slights and stuff that got you up in the morning and got you to do great things. It's not the same to the stuff that's going to motivate you when you're 25 or 26. And when you start to realize that motivation and that way that you've kind of been energizing yourself in the past isn't there like it used to be, then that's when you get desperate and clutch on to things and try to figure out a way to get back to the past or get back to those things motivating you. It's an entire psychological process. And I think we saw all of that play out, and I'm not joking, in his facial hair last year. I mean, he went from mustache to full beard to no beard to handlebar mustache to nothing. He was desperately trying to cling on to something, superstitious or not, that would fuel him. And to be fair to Baker Mayfield, I mean, he had a lot on his plate. He had this team with all these expectations that he had to kind of fill. Then Lamar Jackson, somebody who's drafted in the same draft class as you, is making an MVP run, which, you're the first pick of that draft. That has to affect you in some way. Also, the coaching staff wasn't a resource. He had to carry them too. It was way too much going on for Baker Mayfield at this time. And I think that's why his play was so erratic last year and why he tried to grab on to different slights and different things to motivate him, is because he had started to realize that the well that had fueled him up to this point had run dry. So the real question is, what do you do once the well runs dry? I don't have a universal answer for everybody. That answer is up to each person to figure out on their own because it's unique to anybody who goes through it in their life journey. What I can say is that from the outside looking in, it seems like he's handling these things, because what you see with people who don't handle this and they just kind of get stuck is that they keep grabbing back for the past. They don't get a new haircut. They wear the same clothes and the same style, and they kind of just are stuck in that year that they had that motivation to do anything and they can't really get out of it. It seems like to me, Baker Mayfield's evolving, that he's not holding on to the same things that he held on to in 2016 and 2018 to achieve some things, and is moving on to a different approach, which I think is actually the biggest change that he could have made. We could talk about fundamentals and everything, but I don't think he really needs to change those things. I think that change that happened up here is probably the most important. And I think it's manifesting itself with how he's handled this offseason. This was a humiliating and embarrassing offseason to go through. Not a lot of people had nice things to say about him. He had ample fuel to kind of do the old Baker Mayfield snipe back and try to get fueled off a slight. But he hasn't reloaded on that type of energy. That just hasn't been how he's moving. He's more so been doing things low key. He's been working out. He's been friendly to people on the media. And he's also showed his leadership. I mean, he's invited a bunch of guys on the team to come down and practice with him during the quarantine. Hopefully they're being safe about it, but during the quarantine to kind of get this offense installed, because he realizes that this season has a real sense of urgency. What more can you ask for from your starting quarterback? I mean, that's starting quarterback behavior. And that's why I think Baker Mayfield, despite what everybody else has to say about him or how everybody else has judged him, I really do think that Baker Mayfield has exhibited that he has gone through the steps to grow in the areas that he's needed to in order to get this team to the place it needs to be. Because in my opinion, the on-the-field tools are unquestioned. He showed those in the NFL and broke NFL records when he had everything right. So I don't worry about Baker Mayfield's ability on the field. Those aren't my questions about Baker Mayfield. Can he cut down on interceptions? I think that comes with the psyche. I think that comes with him thinking that he doesn't have to save every game with every play. I really do. The real question for me is if Baker Mayfield can evolve from what motivated him to be a great college player to what eventually will motivate him to be a great NFL player. And I think from what I can observe, it's limited, that he's doing that. And I'm excited to see what happens. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you hopeful for Baker Mayfield's 2020? Are you thinking that it's going to be good things ahead? Or are you more pessimistic? Let me know in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day and have a good night.